Hello, YouTube. This is Bash bringing you back for Season 5 draft recap of the UPC with the New York News. And let's go over some little rules before because we did end up changing the rules. Draft League rules. If you haven't seen the rest of my channel, rest of my videos of uploads, this is a draft league, of course. There are 12 teams drafting in this league. Each team will get 12 Pokemon with no Pokemon allowed on more than one team. You must have like a draft at one S tier and A tier. S tiers are like more powerful Ubers, while A tiers are more a mix of really powerful tier 1s and lower class Ubers. Like Deoxys Speed is the A tier, while like Mewtwo is an S tier. So there's that. At the end, we will pick Z users, and only those Z users are allowed to use Z moves the entire season. Each team will play each other in the regular season, and we'll build a counter opponent's team, with only 6 out of the 12 mons being allowed to each match. At the end of the season, there will be top 6 teams that move on to playoffs and battle off in the playoff style rounds to find our Season 5 champion, which, if you guys don't know already, I have not won a UPC champion yet. I'm looking to do it this season. We lost Season 2 in the finals to Crypto, and then in the last 2 seasons, I lost in the semifinals to Sketch. So we're looking to get some revenge this season and claim that title. So this season, we did things a little differently. So we didn't have a typical draft thing. We decided to do auction draft rules, where each day 50 to 54 Pokemon go up for 24 hours to be auctioned upon, and if a Pokemon is bidded on in the last 3 hours of the 24 hours, this Pokemon has exceeded its limit, this Pokemon is extended another 24 hours. Sorry, I just can't speak right now. We all start with 1,750 points, and each tier has a minimum bid, so that like S tiers are 350, A tiers 150, tier 160, tier 250, tier 340, tier 4 20, tier 5 10. You have to at least bid that amount of points for it. When you make a bid, you have to go up in increments of 10. So like if a bid right now is at 10 points, you have to go up. The next bid has to be at least 20. So Z crystals are worth 10% of what the Pokemon's winning bid is. Lowest worth Z is free. So say I have a Torrentee that went for like 200 and a Mammoth Swine that went for like 70. If I want to make both of my Z crystals, I get Mammoth for free, but Torrentee is going to cost me 12 points, I believe. The Z crystal, to become a Z user, so that's that. Let's get into. Of course, we have the New York News, coached by me, Bash, and we'll go into our first auction pick, which was Whimsicott, which we actually made a Z Crystal user. With Infiltrator, Prankster, Chlorophyll. Whimsicott I thought it was a pretty good steal at 40. It was a mid-bid. It was the first day too, so we were all kind of trying to just get like a mon or two, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of weird because I've never done an auction draft before. I felt like I probably learned a lot of lessons during this auction draft, but yeah, Whimsicott I feel like is really good with its prankster ability. And it's kind of fast too with 116. It doesn't really hit that hard, but it's more of just a really good utility mon. And I really like the pair with the Z user with Whimsicott for Z Memento, which could be really clutch for some of the other mons you'll see later on. This thing gets really annoying things like Encore, Stun Spore, Trick. Gets momentum, U-turn, gets defog, so it's a hazard mover as well, which is really nice. And it gets pretty good. It's pretty good, decent coverage moves with like psychic and stuff. So that's really nice. Whimsicott, I think for a min bid of 40 it was really nice, a really nice grab. So. Going to the next one, we got Greninja Protean. Greninja Protean went up I got it for 210, which means that the min bid was 154, so I got 210. Got it for 210. It has to be Greninja Protean or Greninja Torrent. Cannot be Ash Greninja because the one I decided to pick on was Greninja Protean. It cannot be Ash Greninja. So this thing is very versatile. It gives me a lot of hazards too, with like spikes and T spikes. It gives me a momentum with U-turn. This thing hits really hard too. Its move pool is absolutely insane, which works so well with Protean. And it's really fast, which gives me a really good speed here. And at base 116 to now 122. And its typing is really decent too, but as you'll see, it won't be like that for a while, for not long, because it obviously changes changes typings based off of Protean, the ability Protean. It gets priority Water Shuriken and Shadow Sneak, which is really nice. So that's that. Next, I decided to get Mega Altaria. Yes, it went for the big 300 points. I really wanted to use it this season. Kind of regret it, but like here's the thing. I really wanted to use it after using Mega Manta. I really like the ability it has, and I wasn't sure what kind of team I was going to build. I thought Mega Manta would go for a lot, but you'll see later on why it didn't really go for anything. But Mega Altaria I think is a really solid mon. It has many different ways to set up, and it's a really bulky mon too. If you look at its stats, it's really bulky overall. It gets D-Dance, it gets Agility, it gets Con Guard. It's just a really nice mon, and it gets like ways to phase out opponents such as like Roar and stuff like that. Um, it's just a really good mon. It gets really good coverage to beat its counters too as well. So it's really a scary mon. The only thing that really is a problem with it is its base 80 speed, but there's ways to set up around that. And yeah, so and I can run like Tailwind with Whimsicott as well if I really want to, which is nice. So next we do end up grabbing the big Bussy. This thing is just fat on top of fat. It's just so thick. Um, just looking at the HP stat alone is just insane. But then you look at the Spadef stat as well, and it's just even more insane. This thing takes Spadef hits for days, and it really forces opponents' preps to change to try to make them more mixed, and it can take away the power outage or coverage move that it might want. So like I'm thinking like Primarina might not be able to beat. It might force them to reconsider bringing like a Primarina, say like that. I'm just top of my head. So like Bussy eats things a day, and it doesn't really care about being a status, as it's a status absorber with Natural Cure, and I could just switch it right out. This thing passes off huge wishes, which is what I really like to do. Also, softball is really nice as well. Passing those wishes off is just really good. It heals up pretty much almost all my. You'll see almost all my mons up back up to like fullish, which is actually insane. And the special attack stat with set base 75 isn't something to laugh at. It could do things with it, and don't you forget that this thing gets Serene Grace, and with its coverage moves, it might actually put in the work with that. So we'll see when it comes down to it, but yeah. So that's Blissey. Got it for 90 points, which I think is a really good steal for Blissey. I think people are going to underrate it a lot. I have used it in the past in a tournament, and we're actually putting in a lot of work. So hopefully I could do the same thing with this league. So next we got Victini. Of course we're going to grab Victini. Here's the thing. So there was a lot of things that were going around, like a lot of things that was happening. My draft plan, which by the way, having an auction draft is just really difficult to have a draft plan for. Like it's honestly it gets screwed up pretty much every day. So I had to reconstruct every single day. So that was really difficult. But I initially had Entei. I was initially going to grab Entei, but I made a deal with Hashok because I was going to grab Zekrom, and he wanted Zekrom really bad. So he decided. I told him if he grabs Entei and stays away from the rest of my picks, I'll let him have Hashok. I'll let Hashok have Zekrom. And so instead, I decided to grab Victini, which is really good anyway. We all know if you've watched this channel in the past, you know I'm very familiar with Victini, so I don't have to really go much about what it does. Made it one of my Z Crystal users as well, which is really nice. So next we end up getting Rayquaza. We needed an S and A tier. If we didn't draft an S and an A tier, we would have been punished with some consequences. So I decided to grab Rayquaza. Wasn't sure what it really does. I guess I sort of have some plans for it. Its shiny is absolutely insane. I love its shiny. Is so cool, honestly. Along with Greninja Podium, that little like shiny black core right there. It's just insane. This thing is an insane wall breaker, and it gets set up as well with D-Dance. And it's our second V-Create user, which is actually scary for opponents to deal with. Hopefully I can use Rayquaza really well. Um, Not really familiar what it kind of does, though. Um, uh, Too bad, also, because we did actually get, there's also a vote. Apparently, we can't make S tier and A tier Z crystals this season, even though we're allowed to in the past. So that's why Rayquaza and Greninja and Protean are not Z crystal users, as Rayquaza definitely would have been one, and Greninja probably would have been two. But unfortunately, we can't, so we're just gonna have to stick with this. Rayquaza puts in a lot of work, I think, and it's just really difficult for people to switch into it. And hopefully, I'm able to use it really well in order to what's the way to say it? Break through my opponent, I guess, for allow like things like Mega Altaria, like something like that to sweep at the end. So that's that. Next we got Suicune. Of course, Suicune, I really wanted it. This thing is such an amazing wall. I love this mon. It's very defensive. It's got some really good stats defensively, and it's very difficult for opponents to break through. It's such a solid bulky water, which is really what I wanted for my team. I really wanted a bulky water to help with Mega Altaria and Rayquaza with the ice weakness right there. So that's why I decided to grab Suicune. This thing is able to roar. It can be the sub Calm Mind set, sub Toxic set. It can just be Rest Talk Roar, Rest Talk Calm Mind kind of thing. It gets like good coverage moves as well. I believe it gets Miracle as well. It gets Tailwind. It gets like Ice Beam, I believe, as well, which is pretty good. I hopefully I can use this thing well again this season. I might have to change up a couple of these sets for Suicune though, that I've been running in the past, because it might not work as well with the team that I have, but we'll see. Then we got Cobalion. Made it another Z Crystal user. This thing is really nice for being able to deal with steel types that Mega Altaria does not want to deal with. With fighting and steel, it pretty much is able to check and counter steel types for the most part. And also, it's really nice for getting the Justified boost, which I've had Cobalion in the past, but I didn't make it a Z Crystal user, which I kind of regret, as I feel like with the Z Crystal user or Z Crystal, it's going to be that much more scarier. This thing is really good defensively, which is nice with Blissey. And it's got a decent speed stat, which is kind of helping with filling in with the gaps of the speed tiers. Um, it gets momentum as well, which is you probably saw throughout this draft. It's very big on momentum. I already have Whimsicott, Greninja Protean, Victini, and Cobalion, all with momentum. This thing is also another rocker, which is really nice. So I don't have to be forced to bring Blissey all the time for rock. So that's really pretty much it with this thing. Really good, solid mon. I hope I can use it better than I used it in Season 2. But next we got Nidoking. Gives me electric immunity right now. Gives me T-Spikes. Gives me rocks. This thing is really scary for opponents to switch into. It's coverage move pool, and it's how hard it hits. Even though its stats don't look like it, it hits so hard with sheer force. So this thing is just so difficult for opponents to switch into. I felt like I really wanted that for a breaker, especially for breaks. It breaks steel types. It's exactly what it does. It breaks through mons like that stop Mega Altaria, Rayquaza, Suicune from winning the game, as well as Cobalion. So that's why I have this thing. This thing is it's just insane. It gets priority as well with Sucker Punch, so that's really interesting to know. Um, and this thing is just a monster. I love you. This thing is just insane. Um, And I hopefully with like Tailwind, this thing is, if I get Tailwind up and bring this thing in, and like it's just GG at that point. Like this thing is just destroys. It's just like it's just insane. It's just really picking out the right moveset every week. So that's that. Next we got Gothitelle, which is the beginning of my free agents. As my last 3 spots on the team are free agents. I initially had Alolan Golem, um, Jolteon, and shoot, who did I have for the third one? Um, let me check real quick before we get into this. But Gothitelle, so Gothitelle is a really interesting mod. As this season we did allow Shadow Tag, which makes this thing so scary. And it's able to beat a lot of mons, trap them in, and so they can't switch out. And it allows me to just be able to beat them, 1v1. So, I think oh wait, the last one I dropped was Mandibuzz. That's the third one I dropped. So that's that. Gothitelle, its stats are alright. Sorry about that. Excuse me. So Gothitelle is really more of a Pokemon, but like it's also the fact that it's really what's unique about it is that I can trap in my opponents and basically beat them 1v1. It can allow me to set up on them. It can allow me to just trap them and just basically make them struggle to death, which is kind of scary for opponents to deal with. And also, I don't even have to bring this every week. People just have to prepare for with like shells and stuff like that. So that's Gothitelle. I think is a really good for this team. Even though I do have Victini as a Psychic type already, I feel like Goth really helps this team out with being able to beat trap the mons I don't want to come in, or that I don't want to deal with this season. So it's that. Next we got Thundy T, who's I believe my third and is that fourth? 1, 2, yeah, fourth and final Z Crystal user, Thundy T. Here, Thundy T is, I feel like, okay, I initially had Jolteon over this. The reason I went with Thundy T is because I wanted more setup and firepower as well. And my speed tiers aren't that bad. I already have Greninja Protean at like 122. So it's not that bad. And this thing just hits hard, and it gives me more momentum in U-turn and Volt Switch, and gives me the coverage moves to beat out its counters. So that's really what it's so good about Thundy T. I don't think Defiance allowed, even though I have it written up here, which is kind of interesting to think about. But Thundy T is just a monster. Look at that special attack stat, 145. It hits so hard, so hard. Hopefully, we get some KOs with this. It has many ways to set up, and it can also run physical, as its base 105 attack isn't even that bad, so that's really good. It gives me another way to help with Suicune within the Ultra Electric community as well, so that's good. Last but not least, I decided to grab Fortress. I grabbed Fortress from one really reason is, well, two kind of reasons. A more reliable steel type to switch into fairy types as well as hazards. This thing is really good with hazards. It gets Stealth Rocks, T-Spikes, Spikes, Hazard Stack. It gives me a rapid spinner, which I did not currently have, which is really nice for my team, as I do have 3 different ways to set up T-Spikes, so I kind of want to keep them on the field so I don't have to put T-Fog all the time. So that's really good with this. It gets momentum and a Volt Switch as well, which is really nice. And it's really good to deal with things with like Spore as it gets Overcoat. So like I can switch that in on them and not have to worry about Spore, which is really nice. Its defense stat is actually insane, which really pairs with Blissey really well with its Blissey's Pedef stat. It can pass wishes off. Blissey passing wishes off to Fortress is just scary for people to deal with. It gets sturdy as well if I really want to. I can even run normal Gem Explosion if I really want to just nuke something after setting up hazards. So this thing is, I feel like, really helps out the team. Hopefully this team, it's really weird. I don't think I've ever drafted a team like this. It's kind of different from what I usually drafted, so hopefully I can succeed in this season. We do actually play Sketch week 1, so that's always gonna be fun. Although I have not in the past had a really good week 1 start in UPC. Losing UPC season 1, I lost because I choked. UPC season 2, I got beat by Kyogre and Crypto after I missed a Psycho Boost with the opposite attack. Season 3 was the one season I actually won week 1, which was against Splurge. After him dominating the entire game, I ended up pulling it back and winning with the team of the core of Tapu Koko, Alolan Raichu. And in season 4, we ended up losing to. Who did I end up losing to? Did I play Crypto again season 4 week 1? Yeah, I did. We ended up losing to Solgaleo Cosmic Power. So I have not had the best of week 1s, but hopefully we can pull out a W in this because I would love to beat Sketch for knocking me out for the past 2 seasons in playoffs. It's a very different and unique team, so but hopefully this team works out well. So I guess until next time, Bash out.